Welcome, everyone. We are at the City Council Chambers, City Hall, 10 West State Street. Today's date, September 12, 2022, and the time's 5:30 p.m. Gathered here for a regularly constituted City Council meeting. This is the notice to public that the Mayor and Council welcome comments from the public during discussion of the items that are on the agenda. You are required to step to the mic, identify yourself by name and address for the record as well, and limit your time to 3 minutes so others may be given a similar opportunity. Speak clearly, direct your comments to the Mayor and Council in general, not to any councilor specifically. It's at the discretion of the Mayor and Council to respond to specific questions and comments or to have staff respond. Would those who are able please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Hoop.
Here.
Isom.
Here.
Kell.
Here.
Lottiehoff.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Very good. Time for Mayor, Council, and Administrator comments. So let's start with any, Madam Administrator, do you have any comments tonight?
None, Your Honor.
Anybody on the council wish to make comments before we start?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Just a very broad thank you to both the community, volunteers, et cetera, that made Harvest Market happen down at 13th Street on Friday. For those that went, it was phenomenal showing, both by vendors, food trucks, pork tornadoes, participants shopping, listening to music, and otherwise. Just goes to show the investment that we've made in 13th Street, what it's capable of being and capable of becoming. If that's anything to show what the future is based off of some other investments in town. Got a lot of good stuff going.
Thank you. That was the only comment I was going to make. The pictures were phenomenal. The use of the park is great. It was well organized, and that place is hopping. I had to stop by about 4:30 today to make sure it had been cleaned up okay and that they still had sea turtle ice cream, and they did. But it really was a fun event. Next up, I guess, Oktoberfest. But those things, now that COVID's over, or at least under control enough that we get to gather publicly, have really become fun around here. And if you read the chamber weekly suggestion of things to do for the week, like went out today, and you can't figure out a way to keep your family entertained or yourself entertained, you're just not trying hard enough, because we really do have music and art and gatherings and things like that. And I did want to mention, too, I know at least 200 students have signed up to watch the Court of Appeals arguments on Thursday at the auditorium at the high school. I got another call from a former counselor today who happens to run a school, wondering what about her students going, what kind of cases are they? Well, it's a murder trial and 2 stop and frisk type cases. They're very interesting. They're live cases, real cases. So I tell you, if you have any interest in watching how a Court of Appeals really does operate, there's a good opportunity, 10 o'clock on Thursday at the high school, and that should be fun. Okay, let's move on for a motion to the consent agenda. One of the councilors has asked that we pull items 7, 8, 11, 16, and 17, with those pulled from the agenda to discuss later. Is everybody brave enough to move for approval of the consent agenda?
A motion to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second? Very good. Roll call.
Thompson.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Hoop.
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
Kell.
Yes.
Lottiehoff.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Very good. That was carried. Would you read the ones we don't have to discuss, please?
Approve the minutes for the August 18th work session and the August 22nd meeting, and a bill list in the amount of $1,722,482.61. Approve liquor license renewals for the Flying Elbow at 229 North 13th Street, Calvin Rocket at 2013 South Center Street. Receipt of building permit report for August 2022. Civil Service new hire list for a transit operator. Appointment of Nate McCauley to the Fire Code Board of Appeals, term ending August 1st of 2025. Accept the term date of August 9th, 2022 for Alfonso Medina on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Resolution approving contract change order number 1 for the State Street Reconstruction Project number STR 21004, a decrease of $15,006. Resolution approving contract change order number 2 for the box culvert repairs project number SMW20003. Resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 John Deere mowers for the Parks and Recreation Department and declaring certain property surplus property and authorizing disposal thereof. Resolution to approve the facade grant application for 119 East Main Street, Marshalltown, Iowa. Resolution approving contract change order number 11 for the hangar terminal and site improvements project, an increase of $5,086.66. Resolution approving engineer's statement of completion and accepting Woodruff Construction, LLC, Riverview Park stormwater pump station retaining wall and paving, being project number SMW20001. And resolution ordering construction for the South 7th Avenue extension, setting public hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost, and directing publication of notice to bidders.
Thank you. Would you tell us what item 7 is to see if anybody wants to move to approve that?
Resolution approving a contribution of $37,581 to the Region 6 Housing Trust Fund as the local match for the State Housing Trust Fund application.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Let's see, let's do discussion on this one first.
Your Honor, if I may,
May.
I want to lead off with a question. To get this this match, does it have to come from a government agency, or can it be contributions? Can it come from their own account?
So the funds in question can't come.
Marty, who are you?
Oh, Marty Waymore with Region 6 Resource Partners and the Housing Trust Fund. That $37,000 can't come from our account. It could come from private sources, public sources, other sources in the future. And we're talking about future funds, not current funds. So this would be for the year starting 7/1 of 23.
I just wanted to clarify that. And then Region 6 is a 4-county region.
Right.
And to clarify for the public, the other 3 counties have contributed to this?
Right. We have secured the match from Hardin, Poweshiek, and Tama counties.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that, Marty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Other council discussion or questions? Or other public questions?
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. So Marshalltown provides the ground which this nonprofit's building is built on for 50 years for a $50 lease. Does that not count as contribution for our part for this? Thank you.
Other public comment? Roll call.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottiehoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
No.
Isom.
Yes.
That carried on to number 8 then. What's that one?
Resolution approving the real estate purchase agreement and lease agreement with Jose Ramon Regalado at 23 West Main Street.
Floor is open for motion.
Motion for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you. Second. Discussion?
Your Honor, I was asked to pull this from a member from the public.
And does anybody else up at the council wish to discuss it? Public discussion time.
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. So I notice we're paying $80,000 for a building that's assessed at $15,000. And when we buy it, if we buy it, we're going to be a landlord until the end of 2024. Previous discussions about the city being a landlord, example, the police and fire station that I wanted to buy, the city's not interested in being a landlord. But today we're interested in being a landlord. Doesn't seem quite on par with our goals. We also have a hole in our budget. I don't know why we need to buy this building for $80,000 and then put 20% matching funds into it to match the downtown revitalization grant. We could just as soon sell that using our public policy to sell real estate to Mr. Rigolato for $1 since he's right next door. So there's another option. Thanks.
Any other public comment? Roll call.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottiehoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
And that did carry on to number 11.
Resolution approving contract change order number 2 for the Elks Park Improvement Project, PRK 21002, an increase of $6,036.10.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? Up here first.
Your Honor, tell me if I'm out of order on this one, but since we're talking about Elks Park, I don't have a problem with this change order, but since we're talking about Elks Park, I want to know why we're accepting the grading as it is when and I'm going to speak for at least one other council member, we thought that grading was supposed to level that area for a soccer field. So if that's a change order we need to do, I would look at this as combining it.
Other comments or discussion up here at the council level?
I guess only comment outside the grading, it looks pretty good up there, so I just want to commend staff and everybody else that's working on it. Awesome job otherwise.
Jeff Hubbard, Park and Rec Director. So I think that was the initial intent from the meeting when we had it with the neighborhood. But in looking at the lay of the land, if you want to say, to create a level all the way through, you're going to have a severe drop off into the alley and then a severe drop off into the west side of the park. And so if you're going to play soccer and you chase after ball, you're going to fall off of a ledge. So that was kind of the level list that we could make it without creating, I guess, extra hazards.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Jeff, thank you for that, but did you at least get estimates on what retaining walls would do to that?
That's what caused the hazard is a third of your field was going to have a retaining wall on one side, so there was not enough buffer from the said soccer field to then fall off a 4-foot retaining wall into the west side of the park. Then we might have put up more fencing to keep people from falling off the ledge.
Then I want to ask the million-dollar question. Why did we grade it in the first place? Was that $10,000 to grade that?
Well, I think it is flatter and more, even though it is uphill and downhill, it's still more playable than it was before.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yep. Don't see anybody else in the public standing to address the issue, so let's call the roll.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottiehoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom.
Yes.
That carried on to number 16.
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the purchase of a 2023 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD for the price of $49,975 from Carl Chevrolet for use in the street department.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Council questions, remarks first?
In Your Honor, once again, items 16 and 17, the purchase of the two trucks, I was asked by a member of the public that they wanted to discuss this openly.
Okay. Anybody else up at the council that wish to address it? Time for public comment. First one there gets to talk first.
Go ahead. Okay, thank you.
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. Took me a while to figure out where I live at. I was just looking at over the agenda yesterday, and I just went, what? $49,970 for a 2023 Chevy Silverado, and then another one for $66,120. Isn't there a certified used we could possibly get from Carl Chevrolet for a lot cheaper than this? Why do we need to have the top of the line? What's the reason for this? I guess those are my two concerns. This is a lot of money to be spending on two vehicles, in my opinion. So, there's my opinion. Thank you.
Serena Stabenow, 1403 West Main. We have a big hole in our budget, $200,000. We have a certain city person that works for us that makes over 200,000. Maybe we could cut her and maybe fill that gap. So with that being said, maybe we could balance our budget without this person working for the city anymore. And then we would be able to afford these vehicles. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Roll call.
Could I make staff comment, please?
I'm sorry. Sure.
Am I okay to make staff comment?
You may comment. You bet. I'm sorry.
Heather Thomas, Public Works. I apologize. I did not realize this until it was pulled from the agenda. On item number 16, the price in the resolution is inaccurate. That is the prior to the city discount number shown there. If you look in the memo and the attached, the actual city cost is $36,149.60. I apologize. It looks like we pulled the wrong line item from the quote was on there. That is the same case in number 17. 17 should be $49,965.50. Apologize.
Thank you. Always nice to get the lower figures from you, Heather. Appreciate it. All right. Roll call now.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie-Hoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Okay. Number 17, I know has been discussed, but we don't have a motion for it yet.
Motion to approve, Your Honor. Second.
The motion was approved. Yep. Thank you. Second. Discussion on this one.
Your Honor, do we need to read what that is for the record?
We should, yes.
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the purchase of a 2023 Chevy Silverado 3500. I didn't catch the full price, the revised price, from Carl Chevrolet for the use in the street department.
Okay. I think, well,
49,000.
Ms. Thompson, any further discussion? Public wish to discuss this one again? Nobody's standing up to do it. Let's call the roll.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie-Hoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we got through all 18 of what were the original items listed on the consent agenda. Let's go on to item F, motions. What's the first one of two?
Motion to approve a temporary premise transfer for foot liquor license to the Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center parking lot for outdoor service on September 18th.
Move for approval. Second.
Discussion?
So the grand opening of the Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center is on Sunday, the 18th, and they have arranged for Friends of the Orpheum Theater to be the liquor license holder for the event, so they need to transfer their license to this premise.
Thank you. Any council comment? Any public comment? I'm regretting I didn't mention that in the opening comments about the fact that that's coming up too. We're going to have a bunch of open houses in the next month. Okay, roll call.
Isom?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie-Hoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Oh.
That carried on to number 2. What is that one?
Motion to approve a 5-day liquor license for the Thirsty Pigs LLC for the Oktoberfest, September 22nd to September 25th.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion up here at the council level?
Your Honor, I just have a question, if I may.
You may.
Is Thirsty Pigs a local company, or, I mean, not that it matters, I'm just curious where they're from.
They're out of Ames.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Any public comment about this one? Okay.
Dwayne Dixon on behalf of Oktoberfest. Thirsty Pig is the LLC is the same company that we used last year. They are out of Ames.
Thank you. And thank you again for doing our next major celebration in this town. Roll call.
Lottie-Hoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Oh.
Isom?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Very good. On to item G, resolutions. We've got 5 of those. What's our first one?
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the award of contract for the Marshalltown Water Pollution Control Headworks and Digester Improvements Project number WPC 21001 in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa, in the amount of $8,939,000.
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion?
Heather Thomas, Public Works. We were very pleased with the bids that came back. Our engineer's estimate on this project was $9,910,000. The low bid from WRH of South Amana, Iowa was $8,939,000. Quite a bit under our estimate, which is always great. The high bid was about $15 million, so there was a good spread with 4 bids received. The completion date on this is September of 2024. And this project is being funded with a combination of that sewer revenue bond that we're going to go out for later, in addition to cash on hand. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions up here for Heather? Any comment up here or in the public? Roll call.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop.
Yes.
Carried as well. On to the second one.
Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the award of contract for the ash tree removal 2022 in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa, in the amount of $59,950.
Motion for approval, Your Honor.
Second.
Discussion?
Jeff Hubbard, Parks and Rec Director. As you see in the memo, we had 5 bidders on it. Our 2 local companies were the 2 lowest bidders, but Ledford Tree Service was the lowest at $59,950 to take down 134 trees. And he's going to get started hopefully next week and be done by December 16th, getting rid of all those. And then we do have some extra money that we're going to start putting together a stump list to try and get some of the stumps removed with the leftover money.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Jeff?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Jeff, just curious about how you prioritize the removal of stumps.
I start at my house, I draw a circle around and move away. I don't have any stumps in my house. We've just been talking to staff. Right now, I think our priority is the same path that was in the tornado. We're looking at kind of Nevada, Boone, Lynn, Church, State, Maine, from probably Center Street out east, and try and come up with as many as we can in that area. If we can get some bids that come in lower and we have some extra money, then we'll be probably focused on the northeast side of town.
So much. Your Honor.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of how long it would take to go out to bid and when you expect to get those bids back?
I'm hoping to get a list together by, if not the end of this week, early next week. And then I don't think I can get them back before the next council meeting, so it'd be on your October, the first council meeting in October to be approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. Other comments by the public?
Will these trees be marked somehow, like we did numbers before?
So the ash trees currently are marked. They have a red circle around them.
Red circle's coming out.
Correct. So those are the ash trees on the right of way, yes, that are coming out.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
We're taking the trees and the stumps out, or we're just taking the trees out?
Trees and stumps out, yeah. So this contract, it goes 8 inches of stump removal down and filled with dirt and seeded.
Okay. Now public comment. Now roll call.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff.
Yes.
Good. It's a pretty good lesson for us why the trees can't all be planted of the same variety at the same time while we're trying to recover. Third item of resolutions.
Resolution approving the real estate purchase agreement and providing for the conveyance and transfer of title for 406 West Lynn Street from the city of Marshalltown to Lynn Street Properties LLC.
Motion for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, this is the final step to a public hearing that has already been held for the sale of 406 West Lynn Street. We were waiting on a real estate purchase agreement, which had specific requirements related to our bid document in terms of 24 months from the date of signing to complete the project of moving a house from one of the Friends of the Library houses to the property. And so there is a right of reversion in there if that indeed does not happen. So a different process from what we've normally done, but I feel like we have a very good product here, and this will be our first case to test it out with.
Thank you. Any questions or comments up here for Jessica or in general? Any public comment? Roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Very good. That carried as well. On to number 4, resolution.
Resolution rejecting all bids for the Marshalltown facade project in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this one.
Yes, Michelle Sponheimer, Housing Community Development Director. So this is the grant that we were doing for the downtown revitalization funds. We did let out for bids, and as I spoke to council previously, those bids did not come in as we had hoped. So we are proposing to reject the bids that were currently submitted with a plan to go out again in January. After talking to some of the contractors, Region 6 felt that there would be a good response at that time, and RDG agreed that we'd have a better response when the contractors and their subs are not as busy during the times right now to put together those bids, and we will hopefully see a better result come January. So we'll be delaying this and go back out at that time, but reject the one that we received at this point.
Questions for Michelle or comments in general up here?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Michelle, obviously you have a go-ahead from the state on this then, right?
Yes, we did have to request a extension to be able to postpone that time period. Previously, we needed to have those awards by October, and so we did get an extension on that from the state to proceed. It still fully intend to meet the deadlines of the overall grant for completion, so
That is 2024, correct?
2024, I believe, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Any other council comments? Any public comments? Roll call.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yep.
Hoop, Isom,
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a public hearing, and what is it about?
Public hearing on designation of the Marshalltown Urban Renewal Area 7 and the resolution to declare necessity and establish the urban renewal area pursuant to Section 403.4 of the Code of Iowa and approve urban renewal plan and project for the Marshalltown Urban Renewal Area Number 7.
I'll declare the public hearing is open at 5:57 PM. Did the clerk receive any written comments?
No, Your Honor.
Time for public comments. Staff review.
Yes, this is the final step needed to, one of the final steps needed to establish Urban Renewal Area Number 7, which is essentially the North 3rd Avenue corridor from Bromley Street to the northern city limits. And this is a project that first came about, or a recommendation that first came about in the 2017-2018 Highway 14 corridor study. And so we are implementing this, and we do have one project that is part of this plan, being the Carl of Marshalltown development.
Thank you. Time for council comments. Hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing open at 5:58 PM, and I would call for a motion to approve that resolution.
Move for approval. Second.
Roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Very good. That carried as well. On to item H, ordinances. What's our first ordinance?
Ordinance 15048, providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the Marshalltown Urban Renewal Area Number 7 pursuant to Section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa, first reading.
Entertain a motion.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion?
This is that second and final, truly final step of adopting an ordinance which sets the area by legal description as part of our code of ordinances. And so this is the first reading. We will be recommending that we waive, on the second reading, that we waive the third reading and adopt at the September 26th meeting.
Council questions or comments? Public comments? Roll call.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Okay, that carried as well. On to item 2 ordinance, which is the first reading of what?
Ordinance 15049 to amend the Code of Ordinance, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 76, Traffic Schedules, and it's for Schedule Number 4, Stop Intersections, first reading.
Is there a motion to approve it?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Very good. Discussion of this?
Your Honor.
Yes.
So I just have a question, Heather. How do we determine, how does an intersection get on this list to add a stop sign?
You bet. Heather Thomas, Public Works. The items that are the locations, there's 24 of them that I have on my list here. Those have all been locations that have been brought up to me in passing or with a concern. We understand there are more in city limits that are not on this list, and I encourage people to bring them to my attention, and I will put them on a list, and we'll cycle through every quarter or so and bring additional ones to you. The T intersections are less of a concern because I think the general public understands that the one that needs to yield, but there are several four-legged intersections on here that currently have no stop control. So that was what prompted this initially, but it is appropriate in my opinion and in the street department's opinion to go ahead and put stop signs at three T intersections as well.
Other council comments or questions? Any public comments?
Well, Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
As everyone knows, Heather and I don't agree on everything, but I want more signage in town. Heather says no, but one thing we do agree on is intersections need to be controlled. So I'm happy to see some of the intersections I gave her on this list. She tells me she has a lot more to go look at and do research on. So I encourage all of us up here, if you see one, just text her or email her, because we just need to make sure people, are stopping instead of our rolling stop right-of-ways we have in town. So, thank you.
Public comment? Roll call.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Next one, number 3, first reading of
Ordinance 15050 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 77 Parking Schedules. This is for Schedule 10, Public Access Parking, first reading.
Move for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion.
Heather Thomas, Public Works. This is for the signs that restrict your time limit that you're allowed to park in a stall. These changes were brought about from our parking enforcement officer. As they're enforcing our rules, we've discovered two discrepancies from what our ordinance states and what we have for signage in the field. So the first one is on 2nd Street. Currently, our ordinance states from Church to Main Street, it has the 3-hour restriction. However, we were signed all the way to State Street with that restriction. We are recommending to change our ordinance and allow it all the way to State Street. Also in that stretch is one 30-minute limit sign right now next to the Times Republican. At this time, we're recommending removing that 30-minute limit. We have reached out to the Times Republican, let them know that we're proposing that change, and we've offered them the ability to bring us comments if they desire that stall. From a long time ago, it sounds like there was a delivery reason that they needed that 30-minute stall, and we've not been reached back out. The other item is in relation to parking over at the 13th Street District. We believe that was just a typo in our current ordinance. It said 30th Street, and it intended to be 13th Street. So those are our recommendations on those.
I just need one of those 10-minute stalls right in front of Lily Mays for the ice cream. And I'm out of order. I'm sorry. But, oh, man, the sea turtle is so good. Any comments or questions up here at the council? Any in the public? Let's call the roll on this one, too.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Hoop?
Yes.
Isom?
Yes.
Carried as well. And our last ordinance.
Ordinance 15051 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa, Chapter 73 Recreational Vehicles to prohibit the use of all-terrain vehicles and off-road utility vehicles, first reading.
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
Very good. Discussion on this one.
I do have one question. Both the fire department and the police department have these. Will they be allowed to operate on the streets?
Yes, so the ordinance was written in a way to provide specific exemptions. Parks and Recreation uses a similar type of vehicle for removing snow at our properties as well. And so that there is a special exemption for parades or other special events as done through the special event process, and it does not apply to all-terrain vehicle or off-road utility vehicle used by city or city employees for public safety or other city service-related uses.
Other comments or questions by the council before we ask the public for them? Okay, roll call.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Yes.
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottiehoff,
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Very good, that carried as well. On to discussion items. The first of which is the golf cart ordinance. Who wants to take the lead on this one?
This came as a discussion item as a result of Councilmember Thompson requesting that we have a discussion about it. I have prepared two ordinances because of some language issues with the ordinance that was defeated on the last one. And so this is up for discussion as to ordinance A, keeping golf carts, or ordinance B, eliminating golf carts.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
My feeling is that if we ban the ATVs, UTVs, we need to ban the golf carts also, golf cars. I was told don't call them golf carts, that there is a difference. We may need to change the language. Golf cars that, so I guess I can't see having one without having the others. If we just passed the first reading to ban the ATV, UTVs, I'd like to see that we ban the golf cars. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Anybody?
Ron?
Yes?
I'd like to speak in favor of keeping golf cars, just updating the ordinance. There's a lot of people that drive to the Legion, other golf courses. I guess I'd have to defer to Chief Tupper to see if there's been any, accidents in the last 10 years to speak of. I don't remember any off the top of my head. But if they have if they're, have insurance, have all the safety stuff on them, I don't see why we should get rid of them. They're just an asset for people wanting to recreate.
Mike Tupper, Marshalltown Police Department. I am not aware of any accidents. That doesn't mean that there weren't any. I'm just not aware of them in the last 10 years. I do tend to agree with Councilperson Thompson about treating every one of these types of vehicles the same, but not a hill I want to die on, and I work for you, so you let us know what you want us to enforce.
Chief, would you recommend that if people are going to be riding on the streets, suppose this passes, that they have to have insurance, proof of insurance on it?
Yeah, I think they should have insurance and lights and anything that we can recommend for safety. My concern would be is if we set you have to be a certain age. Okay, I'm getting old. Everybody looks like they're 15 to me. Okay, and my cops do not need extra work trying to figure out who's old enough and all that good stuff. So we've talked a lot about traffic safety. I'm concerned about traffic safety, and we've also talked about a lot about the fact that our police officers have a lot on their plates, and I don't know that they need any extra work right now. Thank you.
Other council comments before we open the mic to the public? Mic's open to the public.
Serena Stabenow, 1403 West Main. I agree with Chief Tupper. This is not a good idea because kids push that button and they, will get on a cart and go. And, the cops don't need any more on their plate. And, I would hate for anybody to come home to a dead child because, they got dared. So it's a bad idea. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Dwayne Dixon on behalf of Oktoberfest, and probably on behalf of at least a few of the other festivals in town. Oktoberfest, for one, uses the golf carts back and forth between our parade staging areas in the downtown. So utilizing those is just a little bit more practical for putting out signs, barricades, and all that. Common sense goes a long way as well. The people that we have using them are all adults and obey the traffic signs and stop signs and all that. So license and all that, I do agree with. It makes sense. Other than that, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Just to follow up on what Mr. Dixon said, so the ordinance that is drafted that would eliminate the use of golf carts also keeps exceptions, including parades and special events or any public safety or city service related use.
I would have expected to see Shriners here if they weren't exempted for when they do that in the parades too. And we'd miss them. Any other public comment though? I know the staff usually likes direction.
Your Honor.
Heard from counterparts on the council. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to remind everybody that these are legal today already, so it's not like we're introducing a new novelty. And I would like to make a motion that we change it from golf carts to golf cars, and we go with Ordinance A, keeping the golf cars. And if we want to add licensing and code, if that's not covered by motor vehicle laws already.
Okay. I'll take that as a motion to change our ordinance to allow golf cars, having changed the current terminology, golf carts to golf cars, and that they be licensed. Did I miss anything in that motion?
Insured.
And licensed.
But we should add insurance.
Licensed and insured. Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Let's discuss that one then.
Just to build off of what Councilmember Schneider said about licensing, many cities do actually license golf carts. You're required to come in and provide that information and get a specific tag. And so that is the route that I would recommend that we would go, that those requirements that we have currently listed, plus providing insurance, other things would be listed in the ordinance, and it would be done through whether it be City Hall, Police Department. I think we would want to discuss what that would look like internally, but that it be a formal licensing program through the city where there would be a fee paid to be licensed and some sort of approval sticker or something like that to show that something is licensed.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
And this is one of those issues where Councilman Schneider and I are taking opposite sides. Again, I know this is legal now, but for consistency's sake, I think it's a hard sell to the public to tell them the golf cart, in my opinion, tell them the golf cart's legal, but their ATV or their UTV is not. So I hope this does not pass. I will be voting no on this.
Other council comment before the public is asked to comment on this
Your Honor.
motion? Yes.
Yeah, I guess I will, as Chief Tupper, I think, said, I'm not going to down a hill one way or the other with regards to this, but I do view them as different categories with regards to speed, safety, recklessness, and otherwise. So I personally think golf carts are not in the same category as a ATV or UTV, but that's my personal opinion, and therefore we'll be voting for it.
Anybody else up here before we go out there? Microphone's open out there. Let's call the roll.
Lottie
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Hoop,
Oh,
Isom,
Yes.
Kell,
No.
No's had it, if my count was right.
Your Honor, I would
4-3.
move that we go with option B with the change of language to golf cars to be consistent across the country and ban them just like we have banned ATVs and UTVs.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion by anybody?
I do have concern about valid commercial use between golf courses. How could they be allowed to transport with some sort of permit?
Good question. Not sure anybody's going to answer it.
Well, I think, the way that the ordinance is currently drafted, let me bring that up here. that you would be able to add in anything that you wanted to as an exception on this. So this is open to be added to if there's, or amended if there's a reason to amend it.
So I would make a motion that, on top of the current motion, we add some provision for commercial use or some occasional permitting basis.
Rather than call for a second on the motion to amend, which is what I would consider to be, since it's a discussion item, we're trying to direct staff, may I suggest that we, but
Hang on, Your Honor, I'll help you if
Okay.
you let me.
Yeah. Are you going to second that amendment or change your original?
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
In this ordinance, exceptions to this prohibition include parades and special events, okay? And I would say the Marshalltown Golf Tournament or other golf tournaments, I think we're all adults, we understand that's a special event, and I think I would interpret this that they would have permission to move golf carts from one golf course to the other.
To be clear, the way that we have talked about special events is that it is something that requires a permit from the city, essentially. And so if you want to send things through our special event process for approval, which means that you have essentially all departments that would be looking at it and signing off on it, that would be the process. If you're okay with that, and that's the understanding that you want staff to have, I'm totally okay with that.
And I'm fine with that. I mean, when the golf tournaments take place, it's a big event, and they're putting them out, they're going to put several carts out on the road to transfer from one course to another. I would say that qualifies as a special event. Now, did I help you, Your Honor, or did I muddy the water more?
I think you helped me because I think the staff is still going to have to come back with a proposal. If the staff wants this more defined than it would be, then, well, it would call for a second to the motion to amend. What do you think?
If there is a general understanding of the special event permitting process, I'm totally okay with that. I think Alicia is probably the other one who needs to be okay with that.
I'm fine with that. I'll just have to communicate with the golf courses that they'll have to fill out an application then for every event.
So
I'll
there's no-
retract my motion, Your Honor, the amendment.
I missed that.
I'll retract my motion
Got it.
to amend that
Okay.
motion.
Okay. Now I've forgotten if the public's had a chance to comment on it. I think they have. No? Okay. Anybody want to comment?
John Hall with the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted to comment on the necessity of the golf courses for every golf tournament to take out a permit and what that process may ultimately entail. A lot of our tourism activities revolve around the use of our golf courses for a lot of private events taking place on a private golf course that do require bringing in cars. In a lot of cases, they are able to be borrowed from a neighboring golf course and reduce the cost tremendously versus shipping them in and loading them up on a trailer. I just worry about encumbering that process. I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know what those permit processes look like when they go through the city, if that has to come to council. I just have concern that anything may slow that process or drag that process, and want to make sure that that's adequately communicated to not only the golf courses, but all of the events that may take place there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Dwayne Dixon on behalf of Oktoberfest again. I'm going to counter that. Golf course is a for-profit organization. Our Oktoberfest is a nonprofit, and we still have to pay the fee for special events. So why, if they are a for-profit event, they should be treated the same as the nonprofits. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comment? Let's call the roll.
Hoop?
I think yes.
Isom?
No.
Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Walker?
No.
That one carried closely. Okay. Next discussion item is on the Destination Iowa application.
Yes, Your Honor. I will speak to this, but Michelle can feel free to weigh in anytime she would like to. I won't go kind of through everything that was in the packet. But Destination Iowa is a grant program that was created by Governor Reynolds using $100 million of American Rescue Plan funds. There's $20 million that is a set aside for this creative placemaking component, and it's more of like a pilot project type of thing to fund 2 to 3 communities who are looking at both public and private investment in a specific district. And in Marshalltown, that is the Lynn Creek district. From our side of things, we have talked about a splash pad. We have talked about a bridge across Lynn Creek to connect the softball complex to the Freedom Rock Trail. As well as a trailhead that was recommended by the Iowa River's Edge Trail Placemaking Plan to be kind of by the skate park in that MSA area, utilizing parking and not having to recreate some things. So those are the 3 city projects that we have proposed. We are also including the Fisher Governor Foundation, who owns the Martha Ellen Ty Playhouse, as a co-applicant on this. They have they have 2 phases of work that need to happen on the theater. The first phase is just over $2 million, and so we would be including that because it is also in the Lynn Creek district. For those public projects, 50% of the funding has to be committed at the time of application, and if you are selected, you are eligible for 40% funding to your projects. As we look at what's happening on the private side down in the Lynn Creek district, and I will actually pull up the map. So Lynn Creek district is appearing on our wayfinding signs, and I've had a few questions of where is this at? And so we are really talking about an area that extends from Center Street along Lynn Creek over to 6th Street and captures a lot of those recreational amenities that we have in there, as well as heads south to the Legion and catches the Wayward Social and the Crosby Park development, as well as the Creekside State development, which is one of our private projects to contribute towards our application, as well as Members First Credit Union had announced earlier this year that they are planning to build a new facility next to Fairway on the land that Fairway used to sit on. And so they have really talked about how that is meant to be a community gathering place, which fits in really well with this district and what we're looking to do. And so I want to just give you a kind of that brief overview of the 3 projects that we would have as the city, because the request would be to commit 50% funding to those, which would be $1.76 million. And that would be recommended to come from the fiscal year 23 general obligation bond, which is our next topic. And so these 2 kind of play into each other, but this was the necessary one to get out of the way first to answer any questions and see what your thoughts are on this application.
Okay, the floor is open for council comments first.
Your Honor. I continue to have enthusiasm for this work and this project. I believe that what we have hypothesized would happen with more community events, more community pride, the injection of some private donation and investment has occurred and will continue to, and I look forward to seeing what this district becomes in the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Other council comment?
Yes, Your Honor, I support this application. It hits all the points that we've been talking about for the last couple of years, what we're into, and if the state's willing to pay 40% of it, I'm all good with that.
Thank you. Anyone else up here?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Jessica, of that 1.7, is that all new monies, or does that take into account what we've already committed for the water feature?
That would be basically the 500,000 was still sort of the same number. We've had to kind of work backwards from that one just because of where we're at in the process. And so we'd be applying for it as $1 million project with the $500,000 in general obligation borrowing, meeting our 50% requirement, 400,000 being the grant request, and there being $100,000 that we would still need to fundraise through grant requests and probably a call for donations.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I guess based on Thursday's work session, I want this just like everybody else does. I really do. But I think that 1.7 million borrowing could be better put to fixing the streets. So I'm really hesitant about doing this right now. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else up here? Mic's open for the public.
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Thompson. We could use the money for streets and infrastructure. But my biggest concern is, and we've been down this road in the past, we promised money to the high school for tennis courts before the public hearing to borrow the money. So is that what we're doing here? Is the schedule, I'm unclear, the schedule's kind of foggy. Are we committing to these projects before the public hearing to borrow the money?
Other public comment or questions?
Serena Stabenow, 1403 West Main. Again, we have a huge hole in our budget, and we are borrowing money. And it's always nice to use somebody else's pocketbook when we're in a fairy tale la la land. You know, if you're willing to open up your pockets, I'll surely go shopping, you know. So this is ridiculous spending. You know, we have streets that are bad. We have a city that is in debt. We need to get out of la la land. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to comment? Okay. Staff direction calls for a motion?
Actually not looking for anything on this because the meat of it is in the next discussion item.
Okay. Let's go on and discuss the next one then. That is the four-year 2023 general application borrowing.
And I'm going to move down there so that I have the keyboard to work with and I can better see. So I'm going to move that way before we get started here.
Okay.
Okay, so in the council packet, I included what was the workbook that we left with at the end of the fiscal year 23 budget process in March. And we have had some changes based on this opportunity, but also based on some other things that have come up. So I'll pull up the workbook where I've put in my comments and things for you to see. And I do have this up here as the Excel spreadsheet so that we can make changes in basically kind of work kind of along as there's any questions, changes you all might like to see. So Kiwanis Park improvements, we decided in talking with Jeff and Diana about some funds that we had already had on hand for the Anson Park shelter. We're going to reallocate those. The Anson Park shelter ended up coming in significantly over bid a few years ago. That environment has not gotten better, so we are just scrapping the improvements to that shelter at this point, and then requesting to reallocate those funds for Kiwanis Park. As I mentioned with the splash pad, the Destination Iowa projects are in blue here. We're looking at this kind of using our $500,000 as a starting point, which I think is also beneficial given some things that we've learned since March about that project. So it would be $1 million project. We would need to borrow $500,000 to support it. Riverview Park Phase 1, which is expanding the detention ponds, doing a little bit more with some of the bridges and sidewalks, and I think a fishing pier in there, is estimated at $2.5 million. And so I've included that in here just because that's the first thing that really has to happen before any of the other parts of the Riverview Park Master Plan could move forward. Weston Park, $600,000 for the building of a concession stand. I believe this is still a fairly good number, as Jeff has kind of worked with some different companies at their out-of-the-box sort of building, so it wouldn't be stick-built. It would essentially be something you would buy the kit and assemble the kit. Looking at also I broke out the trail bridge from the trail connection from the Freedom Rock to the skate park for a very specific reason, and that is that Destination Iowa has been very clear that they're not going to fund smaller little trail projects like this, that they have other state funding sources that would seek to do this. However, we've missed some timelines there to be able to apply. An updated cost estimate is $250,000 to finish the trail from the Freedom Rock to basically where the bridge would be. There'd still be some pavement work that would need to happen along the bridge side as well. With the trail bridge, Destination Iowa project, this is not just an out-of-the-box bridge, I should say. I should have said that in the last discussion. This would be doing something involving some public art through some panels and lighting that would make this an attraction that you would see night or day, and that people would want to visit and want to have that selfie moment with. With that, I have included the $700,000 being the 60%. So the Destination Iowa amount would be 40%, just because I don't want to have multiple projects competing for fundraising. And I think the splash pad is the one that makes the most sense to kind of have that fundraising effort around. Looking at the River's Edge Trailhead, the city's amount at $560,000, along with the Trails Inc. Funds that they have on hand for a trailhead, get us to the 60%. So the Destination Iowa funding really fills in that 40% gap, would get us to the point where we could get this designed and out to bid as quickly as possible. The next change is street improvements, and I kind of put this in orange to directly call your eye to it, because this one is definitely changed from where we were. We were using this to balance to a $10 million number, and you can see kind of how that has changed when we've had some other projects come into this picture. That to get to 10 million, it's 2.65. The other thing that I have listed on here is to $650,000 is an estimate that's been provided by Bolton and Mink for the design and the bidding of the second phase of the downtown implementation plan. So looking at East Main from Center Street to 3rd Avenue, and then Center Street from State Street down to Church Street. So significant project. They have been very forthcoming that this is at least a 1-year design project. That it's going to take a long time to work with that many property owners and with the public to basically get that project designed. And so by borrowing this now, this would allow us to start that design work in 2023, hopefully be at the end of 2023 with the decision of, do you want to put this out to bid for construction to start in 2024? So timeline-wise there, that's how that fits in there at that dollar amount. As you can see, the other projects that are on there have not changed. Updated debt capacity, we are at 14, just a little under 14.1 million. I also mentioned in my memo, we are not beholden to a $10 million figure at this point because of the state revolving fund loan that we did earlier this year for the Headworks and Digester project and the CIPP project. So our tax exempt status has gone for the year. So we are at a point where you can set this number to whatever you would like to be. $14 million, 14.1 or less is what keeps you in the current debt capacity policy. I'm happy to answer any questions, to play with any scenarios you might all want to look at. It's your direction at this point.
The floor is open for questions up here at the console dais. Questions or comments?
Your Honor, Will you go through the scenario? You had clicked between views and showing that there was a decrease of about, I think, $1.5 million for street improvement. I'm sure the description is obvious, but it's lost on me. What brought that down? Was it reprioritizing other projects? So you were just making an adjustment to try and put a nice wish list together? And I don't mean that in a condescending way, but more just inform me on why did it go from 4 million down to 2.6?
Yeah, so the big change, I would say, you have 500,000 from the Riverview Park master plan for that first phase that comes in there that wasn't there. That is certainly one of the things. When you actually look at, these two numbers, totaling 950,000, it's slightly more than the 925,000 that are there. The trailhead, I think, is probably one of the bigger things as well. That wasn't budgeted at all in this year. We were looking at it for next year, but their opportunity is there, and so that's where it's totally up to you as to whether or not that's something you want to move. But I would highly recommend that we keep it there, just because it is a big piece of that Lynn Creek district. The downtown implementation plan is the other piece of that at 650,000. You could really, I feel like you can make the argument that that's starting street work, that everything we're doing in the downtown implementation plan truly is street work. This one just has a lot more to it in terms of just streets. It's also utilities, and it's going to take a longer time to plan versus what a normal process might look like.
Other comments or questions by the council?
Jessica, if we did start the downtown implementation plan next year, does the city staff have the capacity to handle that as well as the State Street project that seems to be getting moved back a little bit?
I will let Heather answer the question. So one distinguishing point to be clear on here is the design for East Main Street. That is just design. It does not include any construction administration, which leaves open that if we have the staffing available, we could look at doing that construction administration in-house potentially. But the design part would be done by Bolton and Mink with city staff consult.
Councilor Schneider, are you referring to the difference between State Street and the second phase being Main Street, or the Main Street meaning further east from 3rd Ave?
The next phase.
Okay.
So since it looks like there will be a little bit of overlap, where I don't know that was originally intended to overlap, was it?
That is correct. It was not intended to overlap. The State Street construction administration has been hired out to Bolton and Mink to provide that service. The way that this is set up, it's also proposed that Bolton and Mink would be doing the design on the second phase. So that would be city staff time to coordinate those things, but not actually perform that design or construction administration in-house.
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
So realistically, State Street is not going to be done being built until late 2024. So I don't see why we're rushing the design phase of Main Street when we know reality. We're probably into 2025, because who knows what they're going to hit on State Street. We won't be ready to build on Main until 2025.
So the way the phasing on State Street is to work is it's starting at 3rd Avenue, working to Center Street. And so that feasibly could be certainly one construction season of work. When we had originally bid it, we hoped that would actually happen in this calendar year, but supply chain issues did not allow that to happen. If that first phase is completed, which they can't do any digging over here on this side until that side is all wrapped up and drivable, then you would be able to start on that, because you would have East State Street open, East Main closed, West State Street closed, West Main open. And so there would be a lot of traffic and things that would have to be sort of rerouted on a detour, but it would be possible to do it. The State Street contract does have two construction seasons, 2023, 2024. I think every indication so far from Construct is that they're going to start as soon as they can in 2023.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I guess I just see this whole list as, I'm sorry, but I think almost 100% of this needs to be put on hold and all the money pushed to streets and I guess dangerous and dilapidated buildings, I'd like to see that stay. Sidewalk gap, obviously, but the City Hall parking lot, the downtown implementation plan can sit for another fiscal year. The pedestrian alley, there's no reason for that this year. The trailhead, the bridge, again, I want those to connect, but not this year. I guess I see dropping almost all this out, even the Riverview Park improvements, with the Edgewood project getting all the focus down there, and actually to the public that the lagoon or the lake, whatever you want to call it, looks like a Riverview Park improvement. Taking the stumps out will look like an improvement. I just think we need to take all this stuff out and push maybe as much as $8 million to the streets. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I think it makes sense to do this now because we get a potential 40% bonus from Destination Iowa. So I do think the timing of it makes sense for that reason.
Other council input?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I don't disagree, Gary. I think we need streets, but I also want the streets to bring people to something nice, which is what this is. And to what Jeff said, I don't want to jeopardize growth, and we have free money on the table that allows us to execute a bulk of some of the projects that were in front of us beforehand. And so I'm in support. That being said, I'd still like to see some additional money being spent to streets, and we have some avenues to be able to do that. So it's just whether we want to pull them or not.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Jessica, can you just give us a rough estimate when we should have the Iowa State study regarding the current condition of all our streets?
I'll let Heather do that.
The latest update I have from them is they have performed the analysis and data collection here in Marshalltown, but they would not commit to anything by the end of the year to have to me.
Anyone else on the council?
If I may again, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just remind everybody that when we had Jay here and he talked about the streets and what it would take every year, and now we've gone from 4 million, almost 4.1, down to 2.65, and I do disagree, Jessica, that I get it. The 650,000 is a street project, but it's not asphalt, it's not curbs, it's not, people aren't going to see that. So we had that big discussion last year, even earlier, about the streets. That's what the public wants. We know we're behind the curve on that, and we're not solving the problem. We're actually making it worse by going down to 2.6 million. So I just hope that we rethink this when the time comes. Thank you.
Just one other thing that I put in my memo to consider is that, we are looking at a local option sales tax fund balance in the council designated area of about 2.3 million. Some of that could certainly be designated here to pull some of these projects off so that you can stay at 10 million and put more money into streets. And so I would say that would certainly be something like whether it's the East Pedestrian Alley, the City Hall parking lot, that those are projects probably in that 500,000, even 600,000, that you could say, let's dedicate local option sales tax to this for this next year, and then keep at 10 million, put it into streets. So there are ways to shuffle things around on here with other sources if that's something that you would like to do. And I should also put the caveat out there too. One of the things in the packet was also the schedule. So we have one more meeting in here. Ideally, we would like to be setting the public hearing on the bond by October 10th, which is our first meeting, and then that would then start the process with the public hearing, holding our ratings call, and ultimately selling bonds on November 14th. So there is another meeting in here on September 26th if you would all like to take some time to think about this further, and we can discuss it then. But on that September 26th meeting, we would need resolutions or a resolution committing, that the council would be committing to go down the path of borrowing for the Destination Iowa projects at the amounts that are listed. So that's kind of the tie into things. That has to happen on September 26th in order for us to be able to submit an application on September 30th.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that, but I do like the idea of using some of the local option sales tax to fund back up on the streets. I think in my opinion, we need to make sure that we keep in the improvements on the Destination Iowa application. I think we'd be foolish not to. We've talked about all those. But if we can take some of the other ones that are not in the Destination Iowa application and work up a list of what would be prioritized and using some of the local option sales tax in order to bolster up the streets, I think that, in my opinion, that's the way to go.
Anyone else on the council? Okay, time for the public comment.
Mark Eaton, 1007 South 10th Avenue. So if we look down the road here, we've got a negative on the bottom line for our borrowing against our self-imposed limit. So that implies to me that you're thinking about getting rid of the 70% limit and maxing the place out. If you take all of these white numbers here and you take them all off and you put all that money into streets, and then you let local option sales tax pay for all that white money, I think that's a better solution. I don't want my streets being subjected to the whim of what we're going to spend local option sales tax on. Let all those other projects be subjected to that whim and put the money on streets. Thanks.
Serena Stabenow, 1403 West Main Street. Again, fiction can be fun. We are deeply in debt, and we need streets fixed. I work with people every day, low-income people, and they make comments on the streets. We don't need a fancy-dancy splash pad. The reason that this splash pad came about was because some children that live on the north side of town drowned. We just need a simple splash pad. Nothing fancy. Des Moines doesn't even have what Marshalltown is going to have. Just something, so kids don't drown. Marshalltown has a pocketbook that, we're spending taxpayers' money, and we need roads. We need common sense. We need some council members to wake up. Thank you.
Deb Millizer, Marshalltown Central Business District. I want to say that as a community, we need to be building amenities that bring people in that have a higher income, higher tax base, attract people, which is what Marshalltown does not have to be run of the mill. It needs to be a place that is special. For people to want to live here, which I think is the goal. The greater goal is growth, not to be stagnant and par for the course. So I would like to see the city, the council, be able to leverage the funds through. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the grant availability, but I think it'd be great to be able to bring some awesome amenities to Marshalltown. So I appreciate that the council continues to look at those options.
Actually, not right now, no. You've been up 5 times, I think, and you've only been up here a second time now, right?
Is that all right?
It is.
All right.
Just fine. If I have to start calling
No, it's all good.
Who's on first?
John Hall with the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted to build a little bit on what Deb mentioned. The opportunity to go after this Destination Iowa funding, specifically looking at the creative placemaking pilot project that the state is looking to launch. We have an opportunity here to clearly make a mark and to be a defining member for what that pilot project, that potential continual funding source could look like. And I think there would be nothing better than to have Marshalltown be that pillar of, hey, when we're trying to create really incredible districts, this is what we should look to emulate. And so we appreciate the support on those funding opportunities. Councilman Thompson, you specifically brought up the Riverview Park improvements and looking to delay those. One thing I would mention is that, and Councilman Lottie-Hoff, you remember when we were talking with Carl's about their investment into the north side, they were looking for that continual investment to be happening up on the north side. There are additional property owners that are looking to make investment up in that area, and I think slowing that down just sends the wrong message and wrong signal. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful on the Highway 14 grant that would have seen considerable investment up there, but I think to slow that momentum down would be a disservice to those that are making investments into the community. So again, I echo that streets are very, very important. I think we all know that. I think to Jessica's credit, she tried to keep that total to the 10 million. I think there are other avenues and opportunities, and I apologize. I think I'm over my 3 minutes, so thank you.
You were good. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I think we can certainly bring this back as a discussion item. I just want to, for the September 26th meeting, looking at some proposals for local option sales tax. I just want to be very clear, though, that my intention would be to have a resolution for committing the funding for the splash pad, the trail bridge, and the trailhead on the September 26th meeting. That would not be part of discussion. It would be a resolution to take action on.
Okay, I think everybody knows where we stand on that one. Very good. My day started with an 8:00 a.m. conference call to Carl Chevrolet. If you haven't been out to see what they've done out there so far, it's really pretty phenomenal, and it's going to get better over time. That takes us to the time for public comment, and that means I need to read another proviso that goes like this. Members of the public may comment on any item that was not on the agenda now. You can approach the mic, state your name and address, limit your comments to 3 minutes, and I'll say authorize more, and direct your comments to the mayor and council as a whole. The mayor and councilors are not allowed to engage in discussion or debate on items raised by the public at this time in order to comply with the open meetings laws. The microphone's open.
Hello, Council. My name is Nicole Carson, 2 North 2nd Avenue. I would like to propose an idea. I would like to see possibly built a homeless shelter somewhere downtown. The old hospital, somewhere around that area, somewhere around that particular building. I live on that side of town, obviously, and I see a lot of people down that side of town walking around. They look like they maybe have a place to go, but nowhere else to stay. I think it'd be a great beneficial, better use of our money to have a homeless shelter here in Marshalltown, Iowa. I really believe that it would be a great benefit to this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Other public comment?
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. And I echo what Miss Nicole said as well. A homeless shelter is definitely needed in this town. The House of Compassion, of course, is a place where people can go and get a free meal. But as far as, and I know the bridge is also available, but as far as a homeless shelter itself, I think it's something that should definitely be looked into further. I know originally we had thought about the area where Center Associates was.
I'm sorry, I accidentally hit that.
But
I got to lose some weight. I must have done it with my stomach.
anyway, so just throwing that out there as far as an idea that maybe the council could look into further. So we do have homeless people in this town. Even though they may not be seen, they are here. And a lot of homeless people are actually episodic, which means we're all one paycheck away from being homeless, just in this economy and the way that things are going. So just be aware. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yes.
Colt Zesh, 1508 West Lincoln Way. I'll be quick, 3 minutes. We are Iron Horse Aviation. We are a helicopter company, veteran-owned. We base out of Knoxville, Iowa currently. Our request is to either have rezoning or verbiage for helicopters in a commercial area. Currently, it's only allowed in industrial, and for our current needs, it does not really fit what we are trying to bring to Marshalltown. To echo some of the other things, to try and bring something special to the town, we are the largest helicopter company in the state of Iowa, and we believe that we'd be able to bring tourism, maintenance. Our current scope of work right now is basically agricultural work and utility, and we would like to move to a commercial area within reason, not in the middle of town or anything, but a place to where we'd be able to have some foot traffic exposure and to be able to bring something pretty unique next to Iowa Ave is what we're currently looking for. Right now, we're currently approved for Newton to move to. We've outgrown where we're at in Knoxville, and we're trying to move closer to here, basically. We have a hangar up in Marshalltown. We've talked with Steve up there. It's just for the size of the hangar that we're looking, it doesn't meet the airport standards, and it wouldn't be enough room for us. So we're looking to try and move to a place to where we could grow and then help bring in other things and employees work as well. I think that's about 3 minutes probably, but.
Oh, you're good.
But that's kind of what we're looking to try and do. We've ran into massive hurdles throughout this time frame. Been in business since 2016. Been trying to move here for some time. I just keep getting told to go out in the country and do this, but that doesn't really fit what we're trying to bring to Marshalltown. Thank you.
Thank you. Stick around. I'd like to talk to you afterwards. My daughter's taking helicopter lessons right now.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? We are adjourned at 6:57 p.m. Thank you for coming.